you'll notice that the migrations folder now has several files that got created. One is going to be the data migration configuration class, which runs whenever the application starts. And if we turn on automatic data migrations, then this will check the model to see if anything's different every time the application runs and make sure that it stays in sync. The second is a method that will go out and seed our data context with data. And we'll look at that later, how we can use the seed method to be able to create the initial data, for instance, like configuration values and other settings that we might want to have. The other files that got created is the actual initial create. And this file matches the name that we put onto the add migration. When you create a new migration, you add it. It will then have a couple methods, one that's going to do an up and a down. The up method will create the tables. So here you can see it's going to go out and create the concert table with all of the different fields that are part of that model. And I can go down and I can see here's the initial create. This is the database as it currently stands. So it doesn't have the promoter name. If I go into the package manager console again and I say add migration promoter, what it's going to do is it's going to compare the data model that is there with my model in my application, and it'll create a update file, which is named so that it happens after the initial create. And this one has just the changes that we made since we originally ran the application. So this adds the promoter name as a string when I do the up, and it removes it, drops the column when I do a down migration. We can update the database by going to the package manager and saying update database, and that will then go out and run this migration. Alternately, I could use the verbose flag and be able to see all of the SQL statements that are being applied to the target database as well. So that's an introduction to Entity Framework and code-first migrations. One of the questions that you sometimes hear from people are, what are view models and how is that different from a model and a view and a controller? And what's its role inside of MVC?